Hey guys, it's your neighborhood graphic designer here to show that you are playing Planet Coaster 2 the wrong way. Grab a drink, get comfy, and together we are going to help you build the park of your dreams. So first, let's set up our career sandbox mode. A new park. Biome doesn't really matter too much. Each one has slight differences regarding what trees are available, obviously what the start looks like, certain textures and stuff like that. But no matter what you choose, you'll be able to build exactly what you want. So we're gonna go Taiga, because that one's my personal favorite. Name, make it Taiga for now. We'll come up with a better name later. Sandbox settings, I don't change too much. If you want to go into the custom area, there's tons you can do, but I'm just gonna go for this one with challenge. I go with hard for the first time playing. Hard may be a little difficult, but there's a couple things early on you do correctly. You have no problem with an early stream of income, and that should set you up really well. So, plan is that we're going to introduce some basic design principles, as well as a ton of hacks that I've stumbled upon after hours of playing Coaster 2. So, should be a lot of fun. That being said, let's get right into it. So to start, what I always do is I like to grab the delete tool, and actually a nice little trick you can do is you delete all the current trees. What it's going to do is that's just going to skyrocket our budget here. Should give us, I don't know, done it before, maybe another like 10,000. What to do is just give us a little more money so we don't have to go into loan, because for whatever reason, this game specifically, when you're in debt, it's pretty nasty since it takes basically a portion of your sales. In other games like Roller Coaster Tycoon, it just takes a percentage every month of the interest. In this game, it actually basically makes so you can't really make any money. So you can see already we're up to almost plus 10,000. Maybe leave it there for now. If I need more, I can come back later. So, where's our entrance? There we are. So I think the way we're going to start is you always need to set up basically your entire park based off of how you want to look at the end, right? Because you can start in one little spot, and you build this, and you build that, and then now suddenly you're trapped. You come up with at least a bigger picture to start, makes a really big difference. So obviously in general, we got a nice big area here. We want to use all of it. Most importantly, and a big thing that I've ran into is, you get through maybe the medium portion of your park where you get about halfway, have a good amount of rides, and then suddenly you got to get to the end of the park. And it's too far for guests. And the way the game is pathing and the way the game's logistic works is that basically stuff on the far side, the guests are less likely, and a really good way and a good trick to alleviate that is actually moving this guy right here, so the park entrance. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to move that to the middle of the park. Again, this is for the future. Obviously, right now it seems a little silly. But what we're going to do is, we'll just put that there for now. Remember, we're on pause right now, so guests aren't getting pissed. We're not losing money in any sense because nothing's running. Just keep it simple. So what I'm actually going to do is, so this is the starting area. So you can build this out as much as you want. So what I'm going to do is, I'm actually going to, again, preparing for the future here, and I want to maximize our space. I'm actually going to do something a little tricky here. I've never done this before, but I think it's going to work. So we're going to go down. What we're going to do is, now we're going to go down, and we're going to go all the way through. What this is going to do is, this is going to allow them to walk all the way to the front of our park, which the entrance is actually going to be, as you saw, in the middle. So what happens is they don't even enter the park till they're in the middle, and this will help much later on. Oh, okay, a little too steep. Let's fix that there. Okay. See if this works. Maybe I go straight first, looks like. That's okay. Let's go straight. See if it works now. There we go. Alright, looks like we messed up a little bit. Maybe a quick adjustment. I think we'll do this. We'll just pull the terrain out. So we're going to push the terrain out just so we can build the rest of this path. see where we're at. I see. We'll say, wish this game had like Roller Coaster Tycoon where you can kind of have that underground view. I feel like that would make a world of difference, but I guess we can't have everything. All right, we'll live with that for now. Not too horrible. I'll see if we can fill this in a little bit. Best tool in this game, the flatten foundation tool. See how much we can get that covered. Cool, awesome. So what's gonna happen is they're gonna come out of those buses, go down here, but they're not technically in the park yet. So anything that happens here, nothing to worry about. But more importantly, what's gonna happen is they get here to the entrance, and then that counts as starting to be in the park. So when we get to the end of what we're doing, we're actually gonna build around this like this, so that no matter where in the park they are, they're not too far from the entrance. So one, makes it a lot easier to get around the park. But number two, you're gonna have all these rides that are stuck at the end, and you're gonna have everyone stuck in the front. So next, we just basically do is we're gonna build the middle, and then from there, that's our main focal point. And then after that, we're gonna basically build one area at a time. So we'll build this first. What path we want to do? I think the plan is we're going to basically do one area per kind of type of ride. Basically, the idea being that you want to keep people in the general area, and if they constantly have to keep moving to different sections to get to the rides they want, they don't spend as much money. So, with like a kids area, maybe a water park, maybe more intense area. And we're gonna start. We'll keep it simple. We'll go asphalt. We can always change that later. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna build our first little plaza. So this is gonna be basically the heart. See if that gets around. Not quite. It's gonna be the heart of our park. Basically, everything is gonna run through here. And what's gonna happen is we're gonna have food here. We're gonna have things like the shops and all that. But more importantly, we want to make it so that no matter where in the park people are, if they need to get to something, again, they're not walking across to this first area. So, number one, we obviously want people to come. We need to build rides. So I think what we do is we try and find something that all groups of people, right? So in the game, basically, you have, I think it's here actually. So we have guests, right? So adults, teens, and families. Right? Families like stuff as intense. Teens obviously like to push it a bit, and then adults have more money as well, I believe. But more importantly, families are the key to early profit because families come in multiple people. So if they're hungry, they buy 4 things. If they're thirsty, they buy 4 things. So that's the people we want to get in the park to start. Also, less intense rides a little cheaper, so it kind of knocks everything out. So to start, what we're going to do is we are going to build our middle area. And the way the process is going to work is, this is the way I do it, 3 rides per, or attractions per area that you're working on. And then basically from there, all 3 rides have 1,000 prestige. And from there, you build shops and stuff like that for people to use, and that counts as like a section. So work on that. If you can do that in each little area, it'll be evenly balanced, evenly spaced, and you don't have to worry about people only going to one side or the other. All right, so this entrance area, we kind of want something, since everyone's going to be here, and they're going to walk through to start something that maybe everyone's going to ride. So we got a good amount of money. So I think, obviously, we want this area to be covered a bit. I think we go super simple. Let's see what we got. What do we got from flat rides that I think everyone's going to like? Right, not gonna lie, doesn't seem that cool. I've done this one before, and this one makes absolute bank. And although the excitement doesn't look good, again, if you get that 1,000 prestige up, actually is pretty good work. And more importantly, it's pretty cool looking. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this guy the centerpiece. Ooh, or do we want to do 2 rides? No, it's not gonna be a section. I think we just do this. You know what? Actually, you know what? I think we actually do a roller coaster. A little more fun. More importantly, make a little bit more money, because at the start you got to make sure before you run out of your money that you build something that's gonna long term. So what's something everyone's gonna like? I think we gotta go wood coaster, right? All right. So again, beforehand, we got to kind of plan what we want to do here. So there's two ways we look at this. Number one, we can look at some verticality. So what that does is it utilizes more space than we currently have. So if I want to work through this middle circle, right, we don't just have this plane right here. We have this plane as well, whether that's path, whether that's a, scenery, whether that's the roller coaster going up and down. But what we can do is you can cram way more in a smaller space. You can basically profit per square inch is how you want to look at everything. So my thoughts are, we got a nice circle here. So we'll basically work into the first design element that we're going to talk about, which is consistency. Okay. So the way to make your park look seamless as possible, make everything look connected but not connected, is number one, going to be consistency. So you're going to pick a couple things you like that you're going to have throughout. So for this, in this example, the plan is basically, and here we can path it out a little bit. Let's show exactly kind of the plan. I sometimes like to do this. I'll at least build some paths, just have a general structure, and kind of what happens there is you fill in the gaps. So if we said that we're going to build this main little plaza here, that's where you enter from, maybe there's some stuff everybody likes. More importantly, we'll say 3, maybe 4 branches. Just to start, we're going to keep it simple. Just little lines. We're going to change these later. The biggest thing about when you're designing anything is that you got to just put something on the canvas, and then you go from there. It's honestly with any creative process. If anyone's ever had like writer's block or struggling to write an essay, kind of same thing. So you do is you just start throwing stuff out there. You can always delete. In this game especially, which is really cool, is that the paths and terrain don't cost any money. Whereas like games like Roller Coaster Tycoon, I think even Planet Coaster 1, you had to pay for it, which sucks, right? So from here, you can go crazy with it, and you can really build everything. To start, we'll just do 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Right, so we'll just say like, right, say this one's the kids zone, this one's going to be more intense stuff, and then maybe this one's the water park. Right, we don't have to touch it, and once we start letting guests in, basically what we can do is we can even, cut the paths off so they don't walk, but again, the path is not too bad in this game, especially if there's nothing over there. Not really going to go anyways. But it's just a general guide so that we don't run ourselves into a corner or build through anything that we don't want to. All right, so ready? Go back to consistency. So again, ready consistency, right? We got basically stuff evenly spaced. Getting ready to see how we can keep building in a circular way, which kind of keeps that consistency. A lot of the rides as well, so a lot of the flat rides, right? A lot of these are circles. So again, that'll be a nice kind of consistency there. And then, if you want to kind of follow this path and keep stuff going in that shape, you can build your coasters that way. Another option is, say, verticality. Let's talk about that, right? So everything's currently flat right now, but you want to go up, build up. You can build some canyons, stuff like that. And the idea being that throughout the park, maybe you keep that, right? So maybe as you get into the kids zone, right, and that's the first section, maybe what we do is every time you get into an area, and we talked about rides in 3s, which in general, all design principles, the biggest one by far is rules of 3. Right, so in this instance, also with Planet Coaster, I look at it as 3 rides total. So if you got 1, 2, 3 areas, right, and then we get to maybe our first area of rides, we're going to have 3 rides here. Get that nice curve, right? And same thing. All right, not the best circle. Let's try that again. So let's go straight first. All right, we go curve, right? So curve, 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 right? So maybe what we do is each area within that zone is also a circle. And it just adds a little consistency. It adds even a little symmetry. And again, that's just little themes that pull the park together. All right, some more on that later, though. We'll come back to that later. For now, we'll just build that first area. So let's just get people in the door, we'll start making money, and then we'll chat more about kind of how this works. So let's build our first coaster, right? Name's Planet Coaster, funnest part of the game in my opinion. And what's better than a wooden coaster? So the question we have to ask ourselves is, do we want this middle area to have a lot of rides, or do we want to have to shops? Do we want it to just be kind of like, scenery, get everyone into the park? I personally like to at least put one ride in the beginning, just start making money. And what we do is put it as close to the entrance as possible so that we're maximizing profit. In fact, talked about verticality being a really great way to not only, basically, increase the profit per square inch or whatever, but on top of that, kind of find cool ways to do things like, cover stuff up or overlap things and just adds a little more fluidity to everything and makes stuff look a little less rigid. Because last thing you want is everything look like a grid. So what we're going to do is basically entrance to the park from the start is actually going to be part of the station for this coaster. And again, right, kids, this could totally not work out. That's totally fine. The whole point is you just go with it. And as you're moving things around and like that, it'll all come together. So just commit to what you're doing, get a budget. So my thoughts were at 60,000, right? Well, probably want to build another couple of rides, maybe 10,000 each. So we're going to commit to this first one, which again, if we want this to really make money, we need to put some money in. So we're going to commit, let's go 30,000 total combined, the coaster itself plus scenery, with it mandatory being, as talked about, 1,000 prestige. Everything has to be 1,000 prestige. I don't move on to the next ride till I've done that, because you're leaving money on the table. So what we're gonna do is put the station down. We'll worry about the, which side we want, the queue line, stuff like that. Again, the way we have it set up is great, where we can go kind of any direction. More importantly, though, I think this is going to be pretty popular. It's at the front. So I want to make sure that we have the opportunity to have multiple trains at the same time. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to add a little bit more to the station. It's a little expensive. Let's go. So I'm going to back out here and see what we can get away with. You can use break blocks as well, but the problem with block sections is that it actually adds downtime to the coaster if everything's waiting still, and that actually takes away from the excitement and stuff like that. So I try to stay away from those if I can. In this instance, we got plenty of space, so the station doesn't have to be smaller. So 3 cars is fine. All right, looks like, yeah. All right, we can live with 2 or 3. I think we can live with that, especially if it's not too long. Again, we're expecting this to be pretty popular. So we're going to start building, which means we're actually going to take this off a pause. That's okay. No thing is costing any money, so I think we can live with it. So we are going to edit the coaster from the start, and what we're actually going to do is we're going to increase the exit speed coming out of the entrance. Just that way from the start, excitement's higher, gets it going, and more importantly, we can have a good chunk of the coaster that's adding to we're going to talk about prestige, right? Everything's about maximizing that prestige. So we can have the first portion of the coaster actually add to that prestige versus being slow just to get up the chain. So it does is it breaks up the slow portions, and from the start, kind of sets the tone a bit. So we're actually going to just max that out. 22 is not too fast, but what we can do is gets us going, gives us the most opportunity to do some little fun at the beginning. So next little tip that I found really useful is that you basically have, right, 2 ways to edit. Number 1, you have the up and the down, the left and the right. And then you press, on PS5, it's square. I'm not sure it is on computer. But here, when you get to this section, you can change the banking, and also you can change the length. So what I do is I actually use these a lot in terms of looking at the numbers themselves. So we have, we have 10, 9, 11. So that you can use plus the banking numbers. And then in this section, you got the angles. So you got 30, this one goes down to 60 and stuff, you got left and right like that. So what you can do is you can use those to kind of mathematically play with the physics engine, because that's also the same with Roller Coaster Tycoon. It has a physics engine that basically just does math based on how steep it is, how fast it's going, how quickly you're turning, stuff like that. So if you use the numbers itself, like for example, all right, 10's pretty easy, but we're going to say we know it's going to be pretty fast. So to start, we're going to go 30 degrees down, right? 30 degrees back up. All right, and we'll do a little test here. And we're going to go start, we'll do excitement. All right, 2.91, not bad. Fear, only 2.5, right? So we know for sure, even if we want kids to ride it, we can push that up a bit. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go a little bit shorter. We'll go 7. I guess it has to start at 20. And then we're going to go even shorter. All right, go down to 60. Get a little bigger. Down to there. And you can see how that adjusts. So now you see the excitement's green. The fear is green. And we're off to a great start. And you can see how basically by us going from 30 to 60, going shorter track versus longer. Again, it's just a physics system. It basically doubles the excitement, all that stuff. All right, so we got a pretty good pace already. And we don't want to push it too hard, but obviously we want this to kind of be a showstopper since everyone's going to be riding it. So, look at it as little segments. We're going down, going up, and then from there, we'll go, say, back to 30, 0, right, back to 30, that little bank, right, and then from there, same thing, we'll go about, yeah, we want 90, it's going to be pretty sharp, add more intensity. We want to go 60, not quite as bad, not going to be as intense though. But again, this being a kid's ride, don't want to be too bad. We got length, we want 7, we want it 10. All right, so it kind of all depends on what you're trying to do here. We're trying to make a medium ride, so we're going to kind of find a medium. So I think we can go about 75, such as being a little longer. We're just going to go around again, and we're going to go back up to 0. I know we're about the path, we fix that later. Okay, so that's kind of generally look at it, and let's see how we're doing so far. Excitement's not bad. Not bad. And you can, what's really getting that really green is basically the vertical G's and airtime, right? Airtime is honestly the biggest factor, I think, in excitement. Just going up and going down is basically decent amount of speed going over a hill. Here, yeah, not bad, 4. If we have an average of 4 the whole time, I think we can live that with kids. Anything really above that's probably going to be a problem. But it's all about the average. So you can have more intense portions, and as long as you don't exceed crazy G's, you can always level stuff off later if you want to at the end calm it down a bit. So I think we're going to try and keep it probably average around 4 fear, and excitement, I mean, you can push it to 10. So I think we'll shoot for hopefully 7. The key here being, a lot of up and down. Okay, the speed being manageable, not too scary. And then from there, unique portions, right? So if you do too many of one thing, it doesn't like it, and all that stuff. So from here, decent amount of speed. I think what we'll do is we'll go up, go down. Any little segment you do, and just like we talked about in the park, where I look at it in segments of 3, different segments of the park, I look at the ride in little segments as well. Don't think of it as one drop, one turn. Think about it as like, all right, this is segment 1 that we have right here. And then segment 2, say, is the next 5 seconds. And from there, if you can try and make each of those segments hit your criteria of intensity, excitement, stuff like that, then you'll have a much more successful coaster. It'll be more fluid, and you'll just find it a lot easier. Okay, so section number 2. Oops. Section number 2, I think that we're going to go down a bit, back up, and then I think we're going to get into our chain lift. So section 1 is basically getting us to the path and around, getting the excitement going. And then section number 2, what we're going to do is we are going to go, I think we'll go helix down underneath, and basically just get us to our chain lift and get us to the main part of the ride. So, I think we're going to stick with the 7. Not that. We're going to stick with the 7. So we're going to go down. I think we'll, do I have the auto tunnel on? Alright, we're going to go down, all the way around. We're going to level off. Again, back. I probably should say level so we don't go in. So go around. going to even out back the banking. And we're going to go up. Maybe we'll get a little bit of air time back down. Just add a little more excitement. We could do a flat, but again, even with little stretches like this, right? I mean, we could, right? I mean, we could just go straight, 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 or something like that, but excitement's going to go down a bit. So what we do is we want to maintain that excitement for ups and downs. So we're going to go up. It's super easy. Just up. We'll just keep it 30%, not push it down. Okay. 30%. Doesn't have the exact, but 30% up. 30% down. And again, if you want more intense, maybe do 60. Maybe do 45. Maybe make it longer or shorter. From there. We're going to go up to 30. And then we're going to start our chain lift, which we always put at the maximum chain speed. Go up, up, up. And now let's just see how we're doing. So excitement, not bad. All right, we got a little bit of red, overall green. Fear. And we got the 7.48, kind of pushing it a bit. We have two options. We can leave it and see if everything else evens it out. Or the G-force is too bad, which I think that's okay right now. We can make it one big hump instead of two. We can level it out. So overall, looks pretty solid so far. I will say that first part's a little scary, so we may need to level it off a little later. But if it's only a portion of the ride, it's all about the average. Okay, so we're going to go up, up, up. And again, rather than being kind of a grid, and we have this right here, that right there, we're going to have everything kind of fluid throughout the park. So since this is just kind of the main section, we're going to have this weave in and out of the plaza. And what that does is it feels like it's all one big piece versus kind of individual sections. I think what we're going to do is we're going to stay with our circular theme that we talked about, finding consistency. We're going to see if we can get this all the way around the plaza. And then what that can do is that can kind of just build the baseline for everything. Now you have two options. You can build one bigger chain lift, or you can build two smaller ones. So the one bigger one, get it out of the way. Obviously, you'll probably make it back to the station, but the problem is you can see how quickly the excitement drops. I mean, it's already only, that high in the road. But then the problem is if you have two chain lifts, for example, it costs a lot more in terms of power and running costs. So it's kind of what you do it. So you're at 44. I said that I think, 30 total? So I think what we're going to do is I think we're only going to do one big chain lift, and we'll just eat the excitement. The beginning was pretty good, so I think we can live with it. So I think we'll, if you look at the grid lines, I kind of like eyeball it. So probably roller coaster in the middle. Want to be the tallest, since it's going to be the center figure. And we're going to talk later about some other design principles, one being hierarchy. It's a really big one. So whether that's color, where if you have one bright color and you have another bright color next to it, the eye doesn't know where to go. Whereas if you have one bright color and then one maybe more neutral color, the eye goes to that. Same with this. You got height, right? If we have everything the same height, one, it looks all kind of bland, but two, you just don't know what to look at. And you don't kind of know what the focal point of everything is. So I think we'll make this, at least in this plaza section, this is going to have to be the highest. So I think that looks pretty good. Oops. Okay. So I think from there, we're going to go down. And again, this is, we can have a little steep at the beginning, but we want everyone to ride this. We don't want people to be scared away. So I think we're actually going to, stay away from anything above maybe 45. And what we're going to do is, I think from the start, we're going to round this, bank it a little bit. I think what we do is, I think we try and do a full circle and make our way back. The kind of do thing is almost like the coaster itself is going to kind of be an imaginary border for this first area. So we got 45. Pretty good. I think we'll do two 45s. We'll level off so that we don't lose all our momentum. The idea being that you want to slowly work your way down, and if you make it all the way to the bottom, basically one, you have really high speed, which is going to push our intensity, which we don't want. But two, you might need another chain lift later. Okay, so see how this does, going back up to 0. I'm curious to see what the fear is. Not to worry about the excitement. Again, we really don't want to get above that 4. So we're already seeing we kind of got a 7 over there, which might need to fix later, but we keep everything around 4. Alright, that looks horrible. So I think we keep that bank though. I think we'll make this a little bigger maybe. And we'll go down to 0. Alright. I think we can look up the bank. Okay. Let's go down. And then immediately we want to go up to get a little air time. Because again, that's where the good stuff is. That's a decent amount of speed. Kind of a big hill. You know, I think we're actually going to do one straight piece. You know, if we were doing a more intense coaster, I think we'd go straight up. What's this? We're going to go very banked at 0. I think we'll go one little wrap around, pretty big. Maybe we'll go 10. And that's just to level off the fear a bit, because it's more of a kid's coaster. I think from there, then we go right back up. And we're going to have to probably keep this banked the whole time, since we're kind of going inside. So let's see how that looks. Yeah, much better. All right, and I think we stuck with 45, so I think we just stick with that 45. And yeah, by doing that, we know that the G-force should be pretty consistent, assuming we are aware what the speed is. So if we do 45 drops every time, the roller coaster should be fairly consistent. Okay, so we'll go there, and we know we did 10. We did 7, I think, for the drops. So we're going to do half of that, which is 4. Now at that, 45. We're going to do this. Actually, I think if we do 7 and we level it off, should be pretty good. And then we're going right back down. And again, we're just going to go 45 again. We're going to keep that consistent the whole time so that we know exactly what we're getting. 45, and I think this one actually, I think we can do a bigger drop. I don't think we need the auto tunnel, but I want to make sure it's consistent. So there. I think from here, actually, we're going to get rid of the banking for a little bit. Alright, so let's see. That might be too intense. Actually, you know what? So we're at 7. So if we want if we want like 1.5 times that in terms of want to make sure for the flat part, we'll just go keep it at 45, but we'll go to 10. Let's see how that looks. I think we get it. I think we can chill with the banking a little bit. No, I want even a little more actually. Let's go 10. Let's see how it looks at 0. Alright. Cool. Guess the banking stayed on one more time. Alright. So, what is that at? 10. Alright, 0. See how that looks in terms of fear. Alright, perfect, right? So there's that kind of 4 average. Excitement looks pretty good. Alright, and from there, again, we can keep going up and down, but the excitement's not going to be as good since it's a little too kind of uniform. So we have 2 nice little drops. I know that we said we want to keep going around. So I think what we'll do is we're going to start crossing in and over the paths. What that's going to do is kind of intertwine stuff a bit. Just adds a little more flow. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go up, and then we'll cut back. What that can do is, especially when you have 2 cars, it just looks cooler because then you have stuff intertwining. Alright, so we're going to keep our 45. Might be too intense, actually. Let's get 1 straight. We're going to go 6 straight. We're going to go 8, 45. 0. Okay, we're going to wrap around. And I feel like this is going to have to see how fast this is. Pretty fast. So I think we're going to have to make these turns pretty big just to alleviate some of the G-force a bit. And again, if we want to do steeper, probably too intense for what we're trying to pull off. So I'm actually going to level it off a bit because I really want to trim off a little bit of G-force. Alright, cool. We're going to wrap around. Let's see how that looks. It's pretty good on the eye test. So basically we have our next section being the lift hill down to the wraparound. Okay, so overall, like it a lot. Pretty good. So before we move on to the next section, just like the process before we move on to the next ride, we maximize prestige. Before we move on to the next section, we're gonna make sure everything looks pretty good. Let's go excitement first. Not bad. We got green almost all the way. Ooh, wow. 10.83. That's probably okay. Not bad. I mean, that's pretty good excitement. Now we're pushing on the fear a bit. So option A is we trim this off a bit, or B, we just commit to it. My thoughts are I think we're going to trim it off a bit, specifically this little section here, because we want everyone to ride it. So I think actually we're going to go back up. So we're just going to trim off some G-force. We'll go 6 up. We're going to go 6 up at our 45. Let's give some G-force. We're going to go 12, which is 6 times 2 to get us to our lift hill. And actually, you know what? I think we're going to go down, go back to 45. We can. Wow. All right. Let's see how that does. I don't want to keep redoing this too much. This would lose money. See how that was on the fear. Yeah, much better, right? So you can see how it trimmed off some pace a bit. So what we're going to do is I think at the top here, we're going to keep that at 0. We're going to get some of the curve going here, and we'll get the air. The air time can actually be from the drop. So we'll go 12. And go basically down, flat. We'll go 8 maybe. We'll go back to our 12. Go down flat, up, down. As you can see again, we're going got multiple hills within this little section. Adds way more than just kind of a flat turn. Adds more airtime, adds more G-force, makes more interesting. And with us wrapping around here, a little smaller, so we don't run into the thing, we're adding a little just general aesthetics as well. All right, go up, goes down, okay, goes up, goes down, 0. Got a fairly big drop, not too much, because we don't want to push the fear, push the intensity. And from here, go down, up. Next section is going to be basically the crossing of the path. We'll say to kind of returning back to where that initial little turn is. So I think one here, I think we'll aim for maybe 2 to 3 spots of airtime, 1 to 2 turns. And then maybe you can even go for something a little crazy. Let's see if we've got enough speed. So I think we're going to cut over. So up. Well, I'll go back actually. We have about 10K left that I want to spend, so I think we actually need to start heading back a little bit. All right, where are we at? We're at 11. Let's go to 10. Now we're going to let's go 12. So 12. And I think we'll go just 30 since it's got a little bit of a pace. Go up. Alright, up. Down. Got another up. Which I think will add. Probably too steep. Alright, we got up, down. We got up. Down, yeah, we can change the path later. See how the fear is looking. Not bad, not bad. You know what? Pierce kind of pushing it a bit. I think we audible. Someone's looking pretty good. I think we just go for it on fear. Say screw it. Alright. We'll build some other kid rides in the front, and we'll make a little hybrid area. Again, this is what we talked about in the design process, right? You have an idea, and you just kind of go for it, and kind of adapt as you go. Fuel clutch is looking pretty good, and we're within our budget, so I think we need it. So from here, we got one up and down. We have 2 second hill. We got our second hill, and then before we get to that spot, we add some little fun. Let's see if maybe we can add one last little twist in here. That needs a decent amount of pace. So let's see if we can add maybe something more crazy here. A little different. Let's add a little creativity. And what they do, we could do a little cut back. Let's see if it's got the pace to get to here. And the better the ride is, the higher the base prestige is, and actually less scenery you need. So although we have our only 10K left to spend, if we can keep pushing the pace on the ride here, we actually might not need to add that much scenery. So ideally, do the most you can designing the ride itself. All right, good. We got a nice little kind of flow going. You can see a lot of curves. All right, looks pretty good actually. Got the excitement. All right, so starting to drop off a little bit. You know what? That's okay though, because there's little lull parts. So I think from here, so we have actually a little more to work with. So not as fast as I thought. So what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna do a tight little cut back here. And add a little. I think we know we've stuck with 45 this whole time, so maybe here we'll add the one time we do 60. Let's see if that's too intense. It's kind of fun though. So add like a little section here that's like really pushing the pace. Yeah. Alright, nice. And from here, again, kind of add a nice little turn section here. And as always, we're not going to go flat more than just enough to even out the G-force. I think this is banked, so we can probably live with it. So same thing, we're going to go back to our 45. Up. And down. At this point, alright, section number 3 is done. So I think what we do is we'll leave it here. Look at everything as a whole. It's nausea, I don't really care about that. Ooh, a little orange. That's not great. That's okay though. Right, excitement kind of dips there. How's it? But fear stays the same. And again, if we need to drop the fear off a bit, dropping excitement so well because, as I talked about before, it's about the overall average. So I think we can live with that. If I wanted to make that a little better, maybe make those a little smaller. But I think we're just going to go from there. All right, from here, last section is going to be just getting back to the station. I think so ideally... Oh, that lady's stuck, but that's okay. We'll deal with her later. She doesn't have anything to ride anyways. So what we're going to do is, I think from here, we just find a way to get back to the station and kind of keep our averages. So, just get some nice airtime. I think we just go some nice little... Yeah. So we go some nice airtime. And I know before we're going over the path, I think distance actually we're going to go under. Going to add a little variation. Consistency in the sense that we're flowing in and out of the path. We talked about consistency before, but this instance, the contrast, not like from a color perspective, is now going to be actually we're going to go underneath the path. So let's turn that auto tunnel on. We go down, back to 0, and I'm keeping the length the same, so I know that the G-force will be the same. I think we need to turn a little bit though, so add some banking. We'll go back up. See how that goes. I think again, actually, I think a nice little kind of peaks up here, goes back down. Let's see how that does. See if it even makes it. We got the nice hills. Right, this time we actually go under the path, which looks pretty cool. Ooh, that's going to be some good airtime. I think we'll go a little higher, actually. So I think what we'll do is, I think we'll choose the same thing. I think we'll just do some hills over here. Okay, let's get back to 0, actually. So we'll go, I think 14, we'll go to 0. Back down to our 45. Back down to our 0. Oh, we didn't quite miss the path. That's okay, though. Well, we can move the path later. Back to our 45. Let's go back to our 0. See if it even makes it. Pretty good. I mean, that's a lot of green, right? I mean, that's kind of the goal, right? Not bad. Some great air time. Go down. We go up. All right, we're running out of steam, but we're pretty close. So this is about the time where I actually work backwards. So the problem that you have is if you have enough momentum, we're going to have to go up at some point to get it back up there. I think what we're going to do is, we'll have a chain lift, but we'll have kind of not very sloped. And that way, oops, turn the auto tunnel off. That way, and it's at 14, so if it's not for too long, the excitement will be okay. Level that off. Cool there. So now all we have to do, autocomplete. Yeah. It's about 1,000 left, which is great, which leaves about 6. So I know this is not a lot of pace, so from here on out, I think what we're going to do is we're just going to see if we can maximize the excitement in this end portion here. Got a little bit of pace. I think we can push it a little bit. So I think let's go shoot for about pieces 6 to 5. We'll go 5 to 7 length to end it here. So we don't have a lot of speed, and that'll just generally be our frame. Go here. Let's see if we get a little shorter. Let's see if we can get back to 0. Pretty good. Back up to 7. We could just go up and down, but can go up and can we turn? And adding basically 2 planes. Up and down. And if we add some G-force. Not quite. Let's see how this does. So again, we're just maximizing every little bit of the ride we have. How's this look? And we're almost there. I think we can live with it. It's not ideal. From here on out, the speed's so low, we're not really worried about G-force. So let's see how we do. Great. I think we can live with it. Alright, let's do a full test. Looks pretty good. We can see how it's weaving in and out of the area, and it actually kind of defines our area so that when we have all the rides throughout the whole park, you can kind of generally see what each section is. See here how it's flowing through. Fix that path if we want now. Alright, I'm guessing we're going to have a, let's go 6.5 excitement, and it's got to be at least 5, or about 5 fear maybe. Nausea probably 1. But the length of the coaster plus the stats should get us a pretty good baseline for the Prestige, so we don't actually have to do too much work in terms of how much we're spending on the scenery, so we can really more go into it how we want it to look. So while it's testing, why don't we just redo this. Maybe best tool in the game besides the flatten foundation is this edit tool. Pretty fun. This you can get really in the weeds with the pathing, which we'll get into later. On the end here, let's clean that up a bit. And yeah, we can adjust all this later. The biggest thing is we just don't want the guests freaking out like they are right now. You know, if we really wanted, we could even go underneath that part. But I kind of like that it's going above in this section. Alright, just so we know what we're doing later, let's get that other part in for that section. Alright, how are we doing? We all done? Alright, not bad. All green, obviously. Here, a little high, but we can live with it. The salmon looks pretty good, but most importantly, how's the prestige? Alright, so pretty good. I mean, 761, that's out of the box without any scenery. I mean, we open that now. That's bagging money in. But, as I talked about before, right, we don't open anything, we don't move on to 1,000 prestige. We're maximizing every area. So, from here, number one, we gotta figure out where we want the entrance and exit. So we talked about this is the entrance area. You know, the park in general, you know, got a nice big grand entrance. I mean, I'm already seeing right here a great opportunity for a nice big entrance sign, right, kind of name of the park. It's nice that we have the coaster kind of flowing in and out, so it's going to flow in and out of the scenery. So that's really important because if our roller coaster was like really straight line like this, only if we put a piece of scenery here, it only affects this piece. If we put a piece of scenery right here, we have multiple areas of the coaster, which means most part of the experience is affecting it. So we're basically spending less money to increase the prestige more. So number one, entrance and exit, of course. So my thoughts are that we build some sort of building here that's kind of like the entrance area. And we make this entrance and exit as close as possible to where where the park goes in. We'll talk about kind of right exits, right entrances later. Let's just build the entrance right now. It's kind of generally where we want people to flow to. And the exit is where the people leave. So in this game, for whatever reason, a lot of times what the guests will do is they'll ride a ride more than once. So we want to take advantage of that. So basically that time they spend from going from the exit to the entrance is going to be what we want to place opportunities for money in. Oh boy, what queue we want? Well, I guess we gotta look at kind of overarching. We can change that later, but we gotta look at overarching what we want in this area. I think this is gonna be kind of the main section. We want it to be pretty neutral, since everything else is gonna be built around it. It's gonna be contrasting with it. So I think that's something simple. Just something nice. How's that look? That looks okay. This rustic one looks kind of cool. So I think we'll go with that. The right entrance might be long enough that people can't not get in, right, if the queue is full, but also the longer they have to walk, the longer it takes them to actually get into the coaster. You can always adjust it later. So I think for now what we're going to do is, I think we just build it long enough that we can get people on, and we can adjust it later. So I think what we do is, we're going to build that building, but then we can just always build the paths first, because we can build the scenery around it. So I think what we do is, we are going to go down. It's kind of like that side of the building. And what we're going to do is we'll go down. We'll look at a down section. Let's go straight, actually. We'll go straight. Okay. We're going to wrap around. Wrap around there. Alright. We're going to go down again. We're going to go underneath the coaster. And we're going to flatten out. Go through here. Nice, gonna have a little more flow. We'll wrap around again. A little curve. Go straight in here. We'll go down to base level, and pretty close to the entrance, so right when people walk in, they can ride it. Alright, well, I think we're going to end there for today. Up next, we'll get that ride exit in, and then we'll shift over to maximizing ride prestige with some scenery, and introducing our first design principles. Until then, hope you learned something new, and get out there and build a park of your dreams.